But what a wonderful song to start our beautiful evening of poetry tonight. I'm Susie Hudson, Executive Director here at Weir Center for the Arts, and it is my pure joy to welcome all of you here and to see a packed house for poetry. So thank you so much for choosing to spend your evening here with us, as well as to all of the readers who are going to just grace these halls with the music of poetry. So thank you very much for participating tonight. Unfortunately, Karen Parkman, our outreach coordinator, is sick tonight, but she is the one that really owns the credit from Weir Center for the Arts for coordinating this event, along with St. Paul Almanac and Katie Benino. So I do have a brief message of words from Karen, since she can't be here tonight, and it's just breaking her heart to not be with you, and this poetry and writing is very close to her heart. So Karen writes, "This evening is a celebration of National Poetry Month and the power of language. When Katie approached me about WBCA hosting this event, my heart lit up. St. Paul Almanac's commitment to sharing stories across cultures to promote understanding is deeply aligned with our own mission to build understanding by connecting people. One of the most powerful tools we have to facilitate connections and understanding is language. The language we will hear this evening has traveled across continents and centuries. It is thanks to poetry and also thanks to these wonderful readers from our community that we can experience these languages tonight. Thank you so much to St. Paul Almanac for entrusting us to host this amazing event. It is an honor to provide a platform for us all to immerse ourselves in the sounds, rhythms, and histories of these poems from all over the world. And before I introduce Pamela, I just want to remind all of the readers, please, we'll turn it a little bit so that maybe your feet aren't hitting it like mine are. But please stand closely to the mic because it only takes moving back this far where you can't hear. So stay up nice and close. There will be a couple of us in the background, and if you see us doing this, it means you need to do this. Okay? So thank you very much, and please welcome Pamela Fletcher Bush, Executive Director of St. Paul Almanac.
Welcome everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm so delighted to be here, and this is such a wonderful crowd. Thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's a little rainy and it's a lot of traffic, but you guys got here, and we're going to have a great time. So I am the CEO and publisher of St. Paul Almanac, and this is my second year and 4 months. And it's been quite the ride, and I'm really delighted to have this collaboration with Weir Arts Center. And I want to thank them for hosting for tonight. Thank you, Susie, and Karen, who's not here, and Katie back there, and I think Lori, is it Lori back there? And I want to acknowledge Katie Van Emo, who coordinated this. She's our marketing chair on our board. St. Paul Almanac. And I also want to thank Catherine DeSalle, who is our social media specialist, who's sitting there to my left. I also want to thank Roger Watts, who's taking pictures. He's standing back there. I also want to thank Paul Pfeiffer, who is on our marketing committee, and he's in that room. There he is. And then I also want to thank my husband, Christopher Bush, who's also back there. And so we have a lot of merchandise to sell. We have our 2019 book that came out in 2019. We are really excited that we're going to have our next launch in October for volume 13. So be on the lookout for that. And we're going to have a big launch party. I really hope you'll come. We're going to have it at the Saints Clubhouse. So I hope you'll be there. And let's see what else is going on. Oh, and I just wanted to say that we dedicated this reading to the citizens of Ukraine. I really want us to think about not only the citizens of Ukraine who are fighting for their lives victoriously, I might add. And I also want to keep in mind others, those people who are also suffering in war-torn countries, and also those who are displaced from their homelands. We cannot dare to take democracy for granted. Please do not do that. Please keep everyone in your heart and in your prayers and your mind, and let's make sure that we're thoughtful of how much we have in this country, even though a lot of us don't have as much as we might want, but we have plenty. So let's be mindful of that. Thank you. So I just want to, again, thank everybody for coming tonight to this global poetry event. We're celebrating, this is Earth Day, yay. So yes, enjoy yourself, and thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you in the future at St. Paul Almanac events and anything we might do in collaboration with this great organization. Thank you.
I'm going to bring up our first reader. I'm Katie, the organizer and the St. Paul Almanac board members that Pamela spoke about. So I'm very excited to introduce our first reader, Yara Omer. She'll be reading in Arabic, and fun fact, she participated last year in this event virtually, and she also was our first reader, so I made her go first twice. Please welcome Yara.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm a teacher, I usually have my teacher's voice. I don't want to scream at you, so am I okay? Yes. All right. Always grateful to go first, because this way I can get my reading out of the way and I can enjoy everyone else. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor. My poem today is for a Palestinian poet. His name is Mahmoud Darwish. And the story of this poem goes as such. In 1965, he was imprisoned for reading a poem without the permission of the Israeli occupation at the time. And he is a middle child. And like most of us middle children, we seem to think that we are not loved enough. We're lost in the middle of everything. So he was holding a grudge against his mother, and he only realized how much she loved him when she came. She was the first one to visit him in jail, bringing coffee and bread. And they almost made her spill everything, and she fought with everybody until they finally let her get in with whatever she brought. So this poem is an apology to his mom for misunderstanding her most of his life. And I'll read in Arabic, and then I'll translate. أحن إلى خبز أمي وقهوة أمي ولمسة أمي وتكبر في الطفولة يوما على صدر يومي وأعشق عمري لأني إذا مت أخجل من دمع أمي خذيني إذا عدت يوما وشاحا لهدبك وغطي عظامي بعشب تعمد من طهر كعبك وشدي وثاقي بخصلة شعر بخيط يلوح في ذيل ثوبك عساني أصير إلها أصير إذا ما لمست قرارة قلبك ضعيني إذا ما رجعت وقودا بتنور نارك وحبل غسيل على سطح دارك لأني فقدت الوقوف بدون صلاة نهار هرمت فردي نجوم الطفولة حتى أشارك صغار العصافير درب الرجوع لعش انتظارك أمي. Mother, I long for my mother's bread and my mother's coffee and my mother's touch. My childhood grows within me day after day. I love my life because if I died, I would be embarrassed by my mother's tears. Take me, if I return one day, as a scarf for your lashes, and cover my bones with glass, baptized by the purity of your heel. Tie me up with a lock of hair, with a thread that points to the tail of your dress. Perhaps I'll become a god I would become if I felt the bottom of your heart. Put me, if I return, as fuel to light your fire, and a wash line on your house's roof, because I've lost my strength to stand without the prayer of your day. I've grown old. Return the stars of childhood, so I can share with the sparrow chicks the way back to the nest of your waiting. Mahmoud Darwish. And now I am honored to present the next reader, Nini U, and she will be reading poems in Burmese. Please welcome me.
Thank you all so much. I hope you can hear me right. My name is Nini U, and I will be reading poems in Burmese. The poem is written by a poet by the name of Min So Sun. He's a Korean Burmese refugee. And this amazing, talented man escaped from Burma just when he heard that he was about to be executed. He made up a story that, I'm going to gather materials for the hand tying ceremony that's about to take place. And he left the village and he never returned. He went to the camp in the Thai border area. Now he's here in America. So I'm honored to read his poem. It's called Explosions. And in Burmese, it's called Falcade. So I would like to read that poem. Falcade. New border got tiny. A new great balloons. Yiti watching out. Lunch out in that Kaleno Jine. Almost what kind of night and let a human pit. Not sit there with us. Jine pure loot there or there. A young man at Kamola. The more than kind of. What got David met? But she and I in there. Honey written in loud. Sweating houndless soul. Daughter who got with him. And she looked at me. Yeah, you reflect nature. I'm not the way I snake. So ya came on, Lupia and now. Another Sura Pale. Scientists are in the Diga. I am going to challenge it. But Gina Mumiazo and I and the Diga. Coming. Benya thick, big deep like. Ni yes, it and I and Letty. So yet, Jim Wachi. Nikazu would wet to me. Manipulation, Yahweh. Not how much I know. That is his poem. And I would read to you a translation. A fermenting pot of toddy bubbles with froth. A ramshackle bamboo container resembles a toddler's balancing act. And my hands, holding the coconut cup, become somewhat boneless. Inside a dilapidated hut with a torn roof and tattered thatch walls, my beloved family barely tolerates the monsoon. This meaningless life saddens my heart, worse than an old rat's hole absorbing a continuous flow of pouring toddy. Vapors of anger evaporates as the jaw clenches and the tears burst. What does the future hold for someone like me, being born under a useless rule of military regime? As science fists hit the wall, with much resentment, mine hits the palm tree, left and right, leaving blood-stained hands contused and crushed. Where is my family's food for tomorrow's tomorrows, if I cannot climb the palm tree? This is by Jensen. And the next poem is by Jensen also. He is in his post, and he conveyed a message that he cannot be here tonight, but I will read his poem too. He conveyed a message that Burmese, Karen are in the same boat as Ukraine. So he has empathy for the people of Ukraine and Ukraine, the country Ukraine, because we are all in the same boat. This next poem, Minso San, it will be featured in the next St. Paul Almanac. It's called Words from Pictures, and I will read it in Burmese. Kapoma Pyolos Gamia. Mountain at here the Miri, tea sound be jumped any jima. Mountain my the Miri Kumia, Lambi ma Payonia Shari Mount. Now was when we mount one guy. Sound by the chimney and mountain at Jima Mount. Mountain at here is an email. Come at Handia Sipian at Jima. Mount is an Ijima. Primo Yonia, eh? Mount Mimijima Yakma. Langua, George Oniro. ပြောမဆုံးတဲ့မောင်တငယ်ချင်းမိသားစုဖျားဖူးထွက်ကြတယ်မောင်တငယ်ချင်းရဲ့သမီးဝဲယူမဲ့နေမှာတော့မောင်နဲ့မတို့ရဲ့သမီးလေးခင်ဗျာတနခါပင်းပြီးနေရရှာရမောင်လူသားတိုင်းကိုချစ်တော်မူသောထာဝရဘုရားသခင်မကြီးမြတဲ့လောကကြီးထဲမှာမတူညီပန်ကြတဲ့ဘဝတွေအတွက်တကောတော့အောင်နဲ့လုံးစုံပြုပြင်ပေးတော်မူပါတပည့်တော်ရင်ထဲမှာမပြုံးမရွှင်နိုင်တဲ့အဖြစ်မရှိတယ်တော်မူပါ So it's called Words from Pictures. While your friends' daughters are attending schools, umbrellas in hand, our little daughter sells flowers as a vendor on the road. While you are cleaning fish and prawns, your friend is strumming a song, humming along songs. While your friend's wife is sitting down meditating, your wife, I am selling bango on the ground. While your mom, my in-law, fries batter on the roadside, your friend's family happily went on a journey of pilgrimage. While your friend's daughter is attending a ceremony for graduation, our daughter is helping with the Nakape's grinding. Dear eternal God, who loves everyone, please correct the inequalities of life with your almighty power. I no longer wish for this life where there are no smiles or happiness within me. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to invite the next reader, Diane Javanpar, in Finnish. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yes. So I'm so honored to be here tonight. I can't believe the music and the wisdom of all the languages. I'm just so honored to be a part of it. This poem is by Pentti Saarista, and he is one of Finland's most popular left-wing poets, and wrote and still writes a range of social and individual kind of themes of life and peace and any kind of he has a method and a way of presenting his wow, why am I having trouble talking? I should just say it in Finnish. But he's an incredible poet. 25 volumes of poetry, 100 interpretations and translations of other poets in 10 different languages. He lost his father the same year he was born. He was a colonel in the war, the continuation war in Finland with the Soviets. So this is a poem called Salt of Pleasure. Virikeeton lapsus, isäroiden sudentama ikkuna, ja maailman valkea hiljaisuus otettavaa. Ei ole tyhjyttä, katso siihen tuijuta, kunnes se alkaa elää. Sillä tyhjytessä pärätellä suonestona, valtakunta potentiaa. Ja sitä, mikä sinulta puuttuu, sinä kokoat itsesi. Saada huuto ikkuna hirakaksi aurinko, kuiva kynnet ja katsoo. Kuiva kynnet, sinun maisemasi eläjä on todistava. Poskilasi näminun suojella. Back he was childhood, window fog like sprinkles and milk-white stillness awaiting. There is no emptiness. Look at it, stare, until it begins to live. In emptiness throb the arteries of a kingdom potential. And from what you lack, you gather yourself. The rain rinses the window clear, the sun dries the tears, and look, your landscape lives and must be witnessed. On your cheeks, the salt of pleasure. So our next poet reader will be Laura Jensen. She'll be reading in French.
I will read a poem by Charles Baudelaire.
Excuse me.
It's called L'invitation au voyage. Mon enfant, ma sœur, songe à la douceur d'aller là-bas vivre ensemble, d'aller aimer un loisir, aimer et mourir au pays qui te ressemble. Les soleils mouillés de ces ciels brillés pour mon esprit ont des chambres si mystérieux de tes stratos brillant à travers leur langue. Là, toutes mes cordes et voltes, luxe, calme et volupté. Des meubles luisants, polis par les ans, décorer notre chambre, les plus rares fleurs mêlant leur odeur au vague senteur de l'ombre, les riches plafonds, les miroirs profonds, la splendeur orientale, tout y paraît à l'âme un secret, sa douce langue natale. Voir tout là, toutes les cordes et beauté, luxe, calme et volupté. Voir sur ces canaux dormir ces vaisseaux dont l'humeur est vagabonde. C'est pour assouvir ton moindre désir qu'ils viennent du bout du monde. Les soleils couchants reflètent les champs, les canaux, la ville entière, d'essence et d'or. Le monde s'endort dans une chaude lumière. Là, toutes mes cordes et beauté, luxe, calme et volupté. And translation, it's always very difficult to translate a poem, but this is the best I could cobble together from others and some of my own insertions. How sweet, my own, could we live alone over beyond the sea, to love and to die indolently in the land that's akin to thee, where the suns which rise in the watery skies weave soft spells over my sight, as thy wayward eyes do when they flicker through their tears with a dim, strange light. There all is beauty and symmetry, pleasure and calm and luxury. Years that have gone have polished and shown the things that would fill our room, the flowers most rare, which scent the air in the richly ceilinged room, and the mirrors profound, and the walls around, with orient splendor come, to the soul would speak of things that you see in your gentle native tongue. There all is beauty and symmetry, pleasure and calm and luxury. The canals are deep where the strange vessels sleep, far from the land of their birth, to quench the fire of thy least desire. They have come from the ends of the earth. The sun sets drown, peaceful town, meadows and stagnant stream in peace and gold, and the world enfold in a warm and luminous light. There all is beauty and symmetry, pleasure and calm and luxury. And I should mention maybe that I believe this is the place where they're going is home. So. My mentor and teacher, Mama Carmen Johnson.
Merci, Laura. I'm going to read a poem for you written by Jorge, who is from Guadeloupe, the island in the Caribbean. And the poem is a prayer, actually. Prière d'un petit enfant nègre, prayer of a little Guadeloupean boy, written between the two world wars when Guadeloupe was a colony of France. And this little boy doesn't want to go to their school anymore. He prefers his life with his family in Guadeloupe. Prière d'un petit enfant nègre. Seigneur, je suis très fatigué. Je suis né fatigué. J'ai beaucoup marché depuis le chant du coq et le monde est bien haut qui mène à leur école. Je veux suivre mon père dans les ravines fraîches, quand la nuit flotte encore dans le mystère des bois, où glissent les esprits que l'aube vient chasser. Je veux aller pieds nus par les rouges sentiers que cuisent les flammes du midi. Je veux dormir ma sieste au pied des lourds manguiers. Je veux me réveiller lorsque là-bas mugit la sirène des Blancs et que l'usine sur l'océan des Cannes, comme un bateau ancré, vomit dans la campagne son équipage nègre. Seigneur, je ne veux plus aller à leur école. Faites, je vous en prie, que je n'y aille plus. Ils racontent qu'il faut qu'un petit enfant nègre y aille pour qu'il devienne pareil au monsieur de la ville, au monsieur comme il faut. Mais moi, je ne veux pas devenir, comme ils disent, un monsieur de la ville, un monsieur comme il faut. Je préfère flâner le long des sucreries où sont les sacs repus qui gonflent un sucre brun autant que ma peau brune. Je préfère vers l'heure où la lune amoureuse parle bas à l'oreille des cocotiers penchés. Écoutez ce que dit dans la nuit la voix cassée d'un vieux qui raconte en fumant les histoires de Zamba et de compère Lapin et bien d'autres choses encore qui ne sont pas dans les livres. Les nègres, vous le savez, n'ont que trop travaillé. Pourquoi faut-il de plus apprendre dans des livres qui nous parlent des choses qui ne sont point d'ici? Et puis, elle est vraiment trop triste, leur école. Triste comme ces messieurs de la ville, ces messieurs comme il faut, qui ne savent plus danser dans le soir au clair de lune, qui ne savent plus marcher sur la chair de leurs pieds, qui ne savent plus compter les comptes au veillé. Seigneur, je ne veux plus aller à leur école. And the translation, I agree with Laura that sometimes the translations aren't exactly right, but it's close. Lord, I'm very tired. I was born tired, and I've been walking a lot since the rooster crowed, and the hill is always high that leads to their school. Lord, I don't want to go to their school anymore. I pray you make it so I won't have to go there anymore. I want to follow my father into the French ravines when the night still floats in the mystery of the trees and the spirits slip away that the young sun is chasing. I want to walk barefoot on the sun-baked paths which run by stagnant ponds thirsty with a noonday thirst. I want to take my siesta at the foot of the big mango tree. I want to wake when the siren of the white man screams, and when that factory anchored in an ocean of sugarcane vomits over the countryside its Negro crew. Lord, I don't want to go to this school anymore. I pray you make it so I won't have to go there anymore. They say that a little black boy must go there to become like the city gentlemen, those proper gentlemen. But I don't want to become, as they say, a city gentleman or a proper gentleman. I'd rather meander by the refineries where the bursting sacks are swollen with brown sugar, brown as my skin is brown. I'd rather, about the time when the love-filled moon whispers in the ear of the straining coconut trees, I'd rather listen to what is said in the night, in the cracked voice of an old man who tells, while smoking, the stories of Zamba and his old friend Rabbit, and many other things which are not to be found in their books. The blacks, as you know, have already worked too hard. Then why must we also dig in some books which tell us of things that aren't about us? And also, it's really too sad, their school. Sad like those city gentlemen, those proper gentlemen, who have forgotten how to dance in the living night, who have forgotten how to walk on the flesh of their feet, who have forgotten how to tell tales at the moon gatherings. Lord, I don't want to go to their school. Make the switch from French to German, and it's my pleasure to introduce the first group of German speakers, Karen, Magdalena, Carol, and Martine.
Hello, everybody. That's a tough act to follow. We're going to read a poem by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who is probably the most prominent of German poets, and he was also a novelist and playwright and sort of a Renaissance person in every sense of the word. This poem was written in 1771 when he was a student in Strasbourg and studying the law, and he would ride on his horse into the countryside, and he visited a little town called Sessenheim, where he was invited into the home of a Lutheran minister, and he fell in love with the daughter. And so that's the background. And the name of this poem is My Lied, which is translated into May Song. Wie herrlich leuchtet mir die Natur, wie glänzt die Sonne, wie lacht die Flur. Es dringen Blüten aus jedem Zweig und 1000 Stimmen aus dem Gesträuch. Und Freud und Wonne aus jeder Brust, o Erd, o Sonne, o Glück, o Lust.
O Liebe, so golden schön, wie Morgenwolken auf jenen Höhen. Du segnest herrlich das frische Feld, im Blütendampfe die volle Welt.
O Mädchen, Mädchen, wie lieb ich dich, wie blinkt dein Auge, wie liebst du mich. So liebt die Lerche Gesang und Luft und Morgenblumen den Himmelsduft.
Wie ich dich liebe mit warmem Blut, die du mir Jugend und Freud und Mut zu neuen Liedern und Tänzen gibst, sei ewig glücklich, wie du mich liebst.
Sie verstehen Liebe, nicht?
Ja,
Liebe,
Okay, so this is the translation, May Song. How gloriously nature gleams for me, how the sun sparkles, how the field laughs. Blossoms burst from every bough, and 1,000 voices from every bush. And delight and rapture from every breast. O earth, O sun, O joy, O bliss.
O love, so golden fair, as morning clouds on yonder hills, you bless with glory the fresh fields, in the mist of blossom, the teeming world.
Oh maiden, maiden, how I love you, how you look at me, how you love me. The skylark loves song and air, and morning flowers, the hazy sky.
As I with warm blood love you, who gives me youth and joy and heart for new songs and new dances, be happy always in your love for me. And it's very egotistic.
And now we'd like to introduce Deb Kellogg, who's going to read in a different poem. Thank you.
All right, you've already heard a little bit about Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He was the Shakespeare of German literature, as he is considered to be. However, he was first and foremost a storyteller. And the poem that I'm going to recite to you tonight is an extremely well-known poem. Every single German student learns it, whether they are learning it in Germany or whether they are learning it here, suffering under my tutelage. I'm the head of the German department at Normandale Community College in Bloomington. Okay, so this one is called Der Erlkönig, the Elf King. And this is the story. It is a ballad. A ballad is a poem or song that tells a story. And in this one you have, this is interesting in that there is a trialogue. You have the father, who can represent the rational, the child, the son, who represents the irrational or the unknowing, and then the elf king, who represents the supernatural, okay? Wer reitet so spät durch Nacht und Wind? Es ist der Vater mit seinem Kind. Hat den Knaben wollend den Arm, fasst ihn sicher, hält ihn warm. Mein Sohn, warum birgst du so bang dein Gesicht? Siehst du, Vater, den Erlkönig nicht? Den Erlenkönig mit Kroll und Schweif? Mein Sohn, es ist ein Nebelstreif. Du liebes Kind, komm, geh mit mir. Gar schöne Spiele spiele ich mit dir. Manch bunte Blumen sind an dem Strand. Meine Mutter hat manch gülden Gewand. Mein Vater, und hörst du nicht, was Erlkönig mir so leise verspricht? Sei ruhig, bleib ruhig, mein Kind. In dürren Blättern säuselt der Wind. Willst, feiner Knabe, du mit mir gehen? Meine Töchter sollen dich warten schön. Meine Töchter führen den nächtlichen Rhein und singen und tanzen und wiegen dich ein. Mein Vater, und siehst du nicht dort Erlkönigs Töchter am düstern Ort? Mein Sohn, ich sehe es genau. Erscheinen die alten Weiden so grau. Willst feiner, sorry, I lost it here. Willst feiner Knabe, sorry about this. I memorized this like 50 years ago. Moment mal. Okay. Ich lieb dich, mich reizt deine schöne Gestalt. Und bist du nicht willig, so brauch ich Gewalt. Mein Vater, jetzt fasst er mich an. Ah! Erlkönig hat mir ein Leids getan. Der Vater grauset's. Er reitet geschwind. Er hält in den Armen das ächzende Kind. Er reicht den Hof mit Mühe und Not. in seinen Armen. Das Kind war tot. This is an extemporaneous translation on my part. You have the father riding along with his son. The child keeps seeing things. Father, can't you see that the elf king is there? He's luring me away. No, those are just bits of fog. Father, can't you hear what he's promising me? And of course, elf king is promising all sorts of wonderful things. And finally, the father always has a rational reply to it. And then finally, elf king says, well, I love you. Your beautiful form, I want you with me. And if you're not willing, too bad, I will take you. And that is when the child is gripped by Elf King. And of course, the father rides very quickly to the castle, gets there, but it's too late. The child has died in his arms. Thank you. With my memory lapse as well. So now I'd like to introduce Sharon Schnielatz. Bitte, herzlich willkommen.
Difficulty of getting old. Well, I'm going to read a poem by Rilke, and he is not nearly as dramatic. So you can stop shaking in your boots. This poem is, I'm going to read the English first. It was translated by Stephen Miller, and it came out in about 1906, 1908, and it's called The Panther. And because this is Earth Day, I thought the panther. And this panther is in a cage. So in English, the panther. In the Jardin des Plantes, Paris. His vision from the constantly passing bars has grown so weary that it cannot hold anything else. It seems to him there are 1,000 bars, and behind the bars, no world. As he paces in cramped circles over and over, the movement of his powerful, soft strides is like a ritual dance around a center in which a mighty will stands paralyzed. Only at times, the curtain of the pupils lifts quietly, an image enters in, rushes down through the tensed, arrested muscles, plunges into the heart, and is gone. Der Panther im Jardin des Plantes, Paris. Sein Blick ist vom Vorübergehen der Stäbe so müd geworden, dass nichts mehr hält. Ihm ist, als ob es 1000 Stäbe gäbe und hinter 1000 Stäben keine Welt. Der weiche Gang, geschmeidig starke Schritte, der sich im allerkleinsten Kreise dreht, ist wie ein Tanz von Kraft eine Mitte, in der betäubt eine große Wille steht. Ein großer Wille steht. Nur manchmal schiebt der Vorhang der Pupille sich lautlos auf. Dann geht ein Bild hinein, geht durch der Glieder angespannte Stille und hört im Herzen auf zu sein. The last word in the English translation is gone, but the last phrase in German, zu sein, is like he isn't existing, zu sein. Now, I'm going to introduce them. Thank you all for coming, incidentally. It's been great, like a little community here. I'm going to introduce Ben Kyriakis in Greek. He's going to read.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to start by saying that I was a middle child. So I want to thank Yara for giving me one more excuse for my problems. My official Greek name is Evangelos. I've been using Ben since I came as a foreign exchange student, actually, with AFS back in 1971. I was in a small town in Weir, Wisconsin, and I lived for a year with a farm family. So I know more about farming than most Americans. Then I came back in 1974 and I went to the university in Eau Claire, and I met this beautiful American lady over there, Shelley, and I decided to stay in America. We've been married for 44 years. And my Greek mother's only advice when I left Greece in 1974 was, whatever you do, don't marry an American. So I recently wrote my memoir, and the title is Don't Marry an American. And I'll tell you everything you need to know about me and Shelley and then some. Because when you write a memoir, you tell it all. The book has been around for a while. It's not an international bestseller yet, but it's going to be one, if you buy one especially. The book is available everywhere books are sold. So, okay, with that, let me explain to you the Greek language and the Greek people tend to be a little chauvinistic because we tend to think we created everything. And the Greek language has only loaned about 55,000 words to the English language, including the word for poetry and poet. The original word for poetry in Greek is poesi, and poetis is for poet, and it means to make or to create. And that's what a poet does. A poet makes or creates something. And what I wanted to read you is a famous poem about the most influential story of all. Who here has not heard of the Odyssey? Is there anybody that hasn't heard about the Odyssey? The Odyssey, it's one of the oldest poems in the world, written at about 8th century BC, and it describes the story of Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, on his way back, which takes him 10 years. And the Greek poet Constantine Kavafis, he's known as C.P. Kavafi, wrote a poem called Ithaca. And people summarize it wrongly as being about the journey being more important than the destination, but it's much more than that. And I liked the innovation of Sharon of reading the English version first. So I'm going to read you the English version first, and then I'll read you the Greek. This poem, by the way, was written in 1911, and it was translated in English by Edmund Keeley. Ithaca. As you set out for Ithaca, hope the voyage is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Lystrigonians and Cyclops, angry Poseidon, don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way. As long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement steers your spirit and your body, Lystrigonians and Cyclops, wild Poseidon, you won't encounter them. Unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope the voyage is a long one. May there be many a summer morning when, with what pleasure, what joy, you come into harbor seen for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things. Mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, sensual perfume of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities to gather stores of knowledge from their scholars. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you are destined for. But do not hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years. So you're old by the time you reach the island. Wealthy with all you have gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you would not have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you will have understood by then what these Ithacas mean. Now, as I read the Greek, I challenge you to pay attention to some of the words, because I'm pretty sure you will recognize several Greek words as I read them. I'll remind you the word for Ithaca in Greek is Ithaki. So, Ithaki. Σαν βγεις στο πηγεμό για την Ηθάκη, να εύχεσαι να είναι μακρύς ο δρόμος, γεμάτος περιπέτειες, γεμάτος γνώσης. Τους ληστριγόνες εν τους κύκλουπας, τον θυμωμένο Ποσειδώνα, μη φοβάσαι. Τέτοια στον δρόμο σου ποτέ σου δεν θα βρεις. Αν μένει η σκέψη σου υψηλή, αν εκλεκτή συγκίνηση στο πνεύμα και το σώμα σου αγγίζει. Τους ληστριγόνες και τους κύκλοπας, τον άγριο Ποσειδώνα, δεν θα συναντήσεις, αν δεν τους κουβανείς μέσα στην ψυχή σου, αν η ψυχή σου δεν τους στείνει εμπρός σου. Να εύχεσαι να είναι μακρύς ο δρόμος, πολλά τα καλοκαιρινά πρωιά να είναι που με τι ευχαρίστηση, με τι χαρά θα μπαίνεις σε λιμένας πρωτοειδωμένους. Να σταματήσεις σε εμπόρια φοινικικά, με τις καλές πραμάτιες να αποκτήσεις. Συντέφια και κοράλια και χριμπάρια και έβαινους και ειδονικά μυρωδικά κάθε λογής. Όσο μπορείς πιο άφθηνα ειδονικά μυρωδικά. Σε πόλεις αιγυπτιακές πολλές να πας, να μάθεις και να μάθεις από τους σπουδασμένους. Πάντα στο νου σου να έχεις την Ηθάκη. Το φτάσιμο εκεί είναι ο προορισμός σου, αλλά μη βιάζεις το ταξίδι διόλου. Καλύτερα χρόνια πολλά να διαρκέσει και γέρος πια να ράξεις στο νησί. Πλούσιος με όσα κέρδισες στον δρόμο, μη προσδοκώντας πλούτη να σου δώσει η Ηθάκη. Η Ηθάκη σε έδωσε το ωραίο ταξίδι. Χωρίς αυτήν δεν θα έβγαινες στον δρόμο. Αλλά δεν έχει να σε δώσει πια. Κι αν πτωχική την βρεις, η Ηθάκη δεν σε γέλασε. Έτσι σοφός που έγινες, με τόση πείρα, ήδη θα το κατάλαβες οι Ηθάκες τι σημαίνουν. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Cha Lor, who will be reading a poem in Hmong.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Alright, before I begin reading my poem, This was originally written by me, and I wrote this as a tribute to my grandfather and to myself. And the story kind of goes along with this story way back when I was little, and my grandparents would always take care of my siblings and us. And my grandparents would say, you know, you're so little, but you're going to get really tall, and you're going to be really big one day, and then we're going to grow older. So they always would ask me this question: how long do you want me to stay with you? Yeah. And then I would answer, obviously as a child, I'm like, a long time, infinity, forever, because that made sense. And so every time they asked me that as I got older, that would always be my answer. And my poem is called Chandu, which is sunshine in Hmong. Chandu. Mate no okuchi sa shen the kuluk chapu. Yuki kuluk homoa. Please la muda ikachapu. Kotonunku. Có sạc của nhóm thơ con liền bảo việc chặt của ớt xài tê thế chăm bá do đàn đá thân đệ tế bảo đi nông của học tế trong đền đê thơ của chẳng đu sao cũng đáp vào tại bà bố hồn tất cả một phương. Sunshine. There are days where I don't want to leave my place of sleep. The sun shines brightly into my eyes. The soul passes by into an old place. You had asked me, how long do you want me to stay with you? My two hands and arms gesture a wide and long length. This long, I answered. Stay with me for a long, long time. The sunshine warms my back. The blankets cradle me back to sleep. Thank you. Next reader is Leslie Thomas, reading Irish.
That was beautiful. It's my privilege to read this tribute poem by Anna Durkin in Irish. She wrote it for her sister Kira, who emigrated to the US, joined the army, and tragically died while serving in Afghanistan. Anya is from Audubon in Connemara, Ireland, where my family lived before emigrating to St. Paul, and where Irish is still widely spoken. My great-grandmother, Mary Flaherty, died in 1944 and was my family's last native Irish speaker. This poem is the most Irish I've ever spoken, and it's an honor for me. I feel like I went. Special thanks to my dear friends from Connemara, Bridie Hernan Connolly for her encouragement and lots of help, and to Nora Cooney for listening. Can you all hear me okay back there? Okay. Es bronach an focal slime, focal choke le mahukan, akhanik minu amlan nua, nor kalmaj kira nagroiga rua. Sezur le sezur bogan slan, nadur sanglushak, Oham, Goham, Akan Nadur, Sagaga Krua, Ashkub Wankira, Nagroiga Rua, Akorp Eryak Idir Gonsuan, Abaling Alwyn Sakar Kuan, Slan Niburmaj, Chance Nelua, Noradema Kira, Nagroiga Rua. Neil Ryer, Snausula, Gorma Gala, Iconic Alyat Sasil, in Umlan Ashala. Canaltis Escordas Unrud Bahuo, Dakhira Alwyn, Nagroiga Rua. Neil Prab Nismu Ongri Morfiel, Ahokra Gaskora Ishtak Sasil. Neil Gile Salah Ton Down Gonfrua, Owasik Kira Nagroiga Rua. Esbronak A on Buckelslan, Buckelchof Le Mahukan, Akhanik Minu Amla Nua, Nur Kalmaj Kira Nagroiga Rua. And in English, Kira with the Wild Red Hair by Anya Durkin. Such a sad word is goodbye, emotions in it thickly lie, but none describe the feelings bared by the loss of Kira with the wild red hair. Seasons to seasons bid farewell, time as natural as the oceans swell. But what is natural in a war unfair that stole our Kira with the wild red hair? Her body lying in a troubled place, lips now still on a beautiful face. Goodbye we never got a chance to share with our lovely Kira of the wild red hair. Her eyes so kind, so clear, so blue, no longer see the beauty of the world she knew. Kindness and goodness in abundance to share were the gifts of Kira with the wild red hair. The beat of her heart we no longer hear, having filled our lives with laughter and cheer. A light's gone out, the world is bare, since we lost our Kira with the wild red hair. Such a sad word is goodbye, emotions in it thickly lie, but none describe the feelings bared by the loss of Kira with the wild red hair. Thank you. I'm delighted to introduce our next reader. It's Noah Kurd here. Noah? Okay, we're gonna move on to our next reader, who I'm also delighted to introduce, Elise Ogden, who will be reading a poem in Northern Sami.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. Let me just get this pulled up real quick. I have a short background on my poem. Also, my poem is in the same language family as Diane's, who has much better pronunciation than I do, because somehow I managed to grow up around Spanish speakers, but still can't roll my R's. I just fake it. So, I wrote this poem 5 years ago for a contest at my college where the theme was ancestry. My grandma would make remarks about how she felt empowered to do something because we're Norskies, you know? When I was in middle school, an extended family member found out that our lineage is actually Sami. As a result, I took interest in learning more about our history and language by making internet friends who still live in Sami, which spans the top of what we call Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the Kola Peninsula of Russia. Also, can I move this? Yes. So mad. Over.
Is that what they call Lapland?
Yes, yeah, but unfortunately the word, like the first part of that word means dirty dishcloth in Swedish. So it's not a very nice thing to say, but that is what everyone calls it in the textbook. So, yeah, but we call it Sami. Thanks for asking, appreciate it. We have 12 languages, 3 of which are extinct and 9 are endangered languages. And then some of those have less than 50 native speakers remaining. Northern Sami, which I've slowly attempted to learn for several years, is the most common language and the language that my ancestors likely would have spoken before they were forbidden to use it in Norway and or came to America identifying as Norwegian. This poem about my grandma and her ancestors, actually along with an illustration, will be in a book that I'm self-publishing in the coming months. If you'd like to learn more about Sami, I brought some recommendations. And one of them is Sofia Yanak. She's a prominent Sami musician who has a TED Talk called Our Rights to Earth and Freedom, where she speaks eloquently about how environmental issues are inherently indigenous issues, as Native peoples are responsible for 80% of the world's biodiversity, despite being only 5% of the world's population. She partnered with Weir to interpret his song 8 Circle, which is fun because he's so local that he was born between Ojibwe and Dakota lands, and I know he's a Norski because I used to date one of his cousins. Lastly, I implore you to learn more about the language, history, and rights to earth and freedom of the people whose land we call home here in the Midwest. And then, yeah, just approach me if you'd like to connect further, especially since the name I gave today is not my pen name, which is how you would find me on the internet. So, I'm going to do English first, so I don't have to switch back and forth. So, this is called Ode to Obscured Ancestors. Some may say you are no matter, as if you did not leave these delicate traces of fjords under my eyes. The dips and valleys carved into my skin. I am asked why I appear so weary, yet I remain proud. Perhaps they result from miles traveled each day, footsteps of a nomadic life lost. The most I'll run is around the lake, but I store more endurance within. Hailing all strength from my fragile grandmother, twig arms with a rugged Norse demeanor, eyes brighter than the aurora, and a smile that cracked like lightning. A loud connection between generations, despite little to no depictions of our history, yet with every breath of my harmonic prayers, I sway to your stories in song. And then in Northern Sami or Davi, it's Guniatit Matut Si Chiegadechi, which is then the actual translation would be ode to the ancestors that they had obscured, kind of indicating that I just don't have access to as much information as I'd like. So here goes. Ginu omos shiav kumuitva mudonet dehalash. Gius luit biat gura eres rashi botna volel mood boini. Fabiumus ya vagi choviat sisa munaki. Yaharamani mun vaikuhit de vaiban motu munlin shevio hayat. Swatit diet otus eret kilometer raisi matkostit yorkibreivi. Yolgi loda yenetiv nomada wapu bahat. Inimush mun sahat kolits vits viera debiavi. Mutu mun doalan enet savrodats sisko biali. Short maskit visot boy mi eret murashiaku. O sashas veriu milde mutun noruna latin voki chiadni shorgat giabra. Ya mutun modi gi aliagas ayat oktobota gaska logiahi. Ore Peroskiate erit unan govediatmi erit eshame muitulish. Ein milde yoke voin mianash erit mu harmonalash rokus mun hailung milde du muitulish ilativ labia. Thank you. And then it's my pleasure to introduce Andrea Jensen, speaking Norwegian.
is really a whole wide spectrum of languages. They have so many dialects, and if you go way up north and you're an American like me and you know the Norwegian of Oslo, you're not going to understand someone. I've had that experience. My relatives live in Oslo, and that's the Norwegian I learned. It's very close to Danish. The Danes ruled over Norway for quite a length of time, and then Sweden, and then Norway became independent just in 1904, I think, or something. I mean, it was not that long ago. So anyway, I'm reading in Bokmål, which is the language of the Oslo area. And I'm going to read my poem in English first, too, because I think it helps to know what it means before, it helps me anyway, to hear it in English first and then to hear the language. So this poem is by Colbine Falcade. He lived from 1933 to 2021 in Haugesund, which is on the western coast towards the south. So he had a dialect, but his writing is in Norwegian, the Norwegian I recognize, because these dialects are written differently too. And he was a philosopher as well as a poet, and he tried to write to the person, the common person, so they could understand what he was saying. So I'll read it in English first. This is my translation, and I'll, at the end, give a little note. I'll give a little note first. There's a line in there where it talks about my bad weather might gather inside the far west of you. So he is saying this to somebody, and I had help with a relative to understand that because I didn't catch the metaphor the first time. My bad weather, so he's from the west coast of Norway, right on the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean in the southern part of the coastline, and the Norwegian Sea. I'm sorry, the North Sea and the Norwegian Sea. My geography is terrible. And that's where all the bad weather comes from the west. So when you hear that line, my bad weather might gather inside the far west of you, that's the metaphor. A room is locked. I long for you. A room is locked inside my body. All of your things are there. All of the impressions of your short life, fleeting like shadows on snow in moonlight. I have the key and enter every few seconds. I touch everything and speak wordlessly with emptiness, a timeless listener. I long for you too because you are most like me. Without you, I am alone with my quick temper. Everything that was good in me that now dims, you bore, like an early summer day with a wonderful forecast. And my bad weather might gather inside the far west of you. Sometimes our weathers collided. Cloudburst and cool evening breeze clashed. But most often, our days were suspended, like matching pearls on a necklace, longing for you. Neither weather nor days flow anymore, and emptiness never answers. Et rom står avlåst. Jeg lengter etter deg. Et rom står avlåst I kroppen min. Alle tingene dine finnes der, og avtrykkene av det korte livet ditt flyktige som skygger på snøen I måneskinnet. Nøkkelen har jeg og går inn med sekunders mellomrom. Jeg tar på alt og taler uten ord med tomheten. En kronisk lytter. Jeg lengter etter deg, også fordi du var likest meg. Uten deg går jeg alene med vrangminnet ditt. Alt som var fint I meg og nå fanger, var du som en tidlig sommerdag. Et flott langtidsvarsel. Og så lavtrykkene mine langt vest i deg kunne hoppe seg opp. Av og til kolliderte vi og værlagene våre. Skibro og solgangsbris tørnet sammen. Men oftest hang dagene våre som enige søskenparer på kjeden. Lengter etter deg. Hverken vær eller dager løper mer, og tomheten svarer aldri. So now, the Norwegians go to Spain every winter. And so I think it's appropriate that I'm introducing the Spanish-speaking John Quinn.
Thank you. I'm going to read a poem by Miguel Hernandez from Spain. And I'm not an expert on this poet or his poetry, but I did select this one. He's a poet from the Spanish Civil War, 1930s. I think his compatriot Federico Garcia Lorca is more well-known and popular here, but he was, at that time, more renowned and like kind of the voice of the Spanish people at that time. He wrote this long work called Viento del Pueblo, Wind of the People, which was a series of poems. So, and then one of the poems within that I'll read right now. It's called Vientos del Pueblo me llevan, which is Winds of the People carry me. He also, like Garcia Lorca, was killed by the fascist forces in Spain, died at 32 in jail of tuberculosis. Vientos del pueblo me llevan, vientos del pueblo me arrastran, me esparcen el corazón y me aventan la garganta. Los bueyes doblan la frente, impotentemente mansa, delante de los castigos. Los leones la levantan y al mismo tiempo castigan con su clamorosa zarpa. No soy de un pueblo de bueyes, que soy de un pueblo que embargan yacimientos de leones, desfiladeros de águilas y cordilleras de toros con el orgullo del asta. Nunca medraron los bueyes en los páramos de España. ¿Quién habló de echar un yugo sobre el cuello de esta raza? ¿Quién ha puesto el huracán jamás ni yugos ni trabas? ¿Ni quién al rayo detuvo prisionero en una jaula? Asturianos de braveza, vascos de piedra blindada, valencianos de alegría y castellanos de alma, labrados como la tierra y airosos como las alas, andaluces de relámpagos, nacidos entre guitarras y forjados en los yunques torrenciales de las lágrimas, extremeños de centeno, gallegos de lluvia y calma, catalanes de firmeza, aragoneses de casta, murcianos de dinamita brutalmente propagada, leoneses, navarros, dueños del hambre, el sudor y el hacha, reyes de la minería, señores de la labranza, hombres que entre las raíces como raíces gallardas. Vais de la vida a la muerte, vais de la nada a la nada, yugos os quieren poner, gentes de la hierba mala, yugos que habéis de dejar rotos sobre sus espaldas. Crepúsculo de los bueyes está despuntando el alba. Los bueyes mueren vestidos de humildad y olor de cuadra. Las águilas, los leones y los toros de arrogancia. Y detrás de ellos el cielo ni se enturbia ni se acaba. La agonía de los bueyes tiene pequeña la cara. La del animal varón, toda la creación agranda. Si me muero, que me muera con la cabeza muy alta, muerto y 20 veces muerto, la boca contra la grama. Tendré apretados los dientes y decidida la barba. Cantando espero a la muerte, que hay ruiseñores que cantan encima de los fusiles y en medio de las batallas. El viento del pueblo me lleva. It did not occur to me for 1 second to bring a translation, so I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to do it like Fly By Night. It's in the pants version, so that's something you can look up when you get home. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce another Spanish poem read by Sarah de Riveros.
It's wonderful to be here together listening to poetry from all around the world. I'm going to read Nocturno sin Patria by Jorge De Bravo. Last week at Oxford University in my Spanish class, we had 5 guest speakers from Costa Rica. And I asked them the name of their favorite poet. And one of them said Jorge De Bravo. So he is from Costa Rica. In 1948, Costa Rica disbanded its military after a very bloody 44-day civil war. The poet, Jorge De Bravo, was 10 years old in that year. And that's how old my son Sam is now. So I think that civil war had a great impression on him. And the poet died at age 29 in an accident. He was killed by a drunk driver on his way to work. Every year his birthday is celebrated as the National Day of Poetry in Costa Rica. Nocturno sin patria. Yo no quiero un cuchillo en manos de la patria, ni un cuchillo ni un rifle para nadie. La tierra es para todos, como el aire. I don't want a knife in the hands of a homeland, neither a knife nor a rifle for anyone. The earth is for everyone, like the air. Me gustaría tener manos enormes, violentas y salvajes para arrancar fronteras una a una y dejar de frontera solo el aire. I'd like to have enormous, violent, wild hands to rip out the borders one by one and leave just a border of air. Que nadie tenga tierra como se tiene traje. Que todos tengan tierra como se tiene aire. I wish that no one had land like they have a suit, and that everyone might have land like they have air. Cogería las hierros de la punta y no dejaría una en el paisaje, y abriría la tierra para todos como si fuera el aire. I'd grab the wars by the corner, and I wouldn't leave even one on the landscape. And I'd open the earth's land for everyone as if it were air. Que el aire no es de nadie, 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 y todos tienen su parcela de aire. May the air not belong to anyone, to anyone, to anyone, and may everyone have their parcel of air. Los malos sembradores van cayendo, trazados por la cintura en 2 trozos de carne amarga, aplastados debajo del grito de los pueblos. De cada hueso, de cada mujer herida sale un cuchillo ardiendo
cortando brazos malos, y sobre brazos, muslos, cabezas desprendidas va creciendo el oleaje de paz, de buena paz, paz comprada con negras monedas de dolor, pero paz, compañeros, paz, hermanos, paz buena, fresca y omnisciente, como un aire, una nube de estrellas aventadas por un ángel de fuego. The evil sowers fall, sliced at the waist in 2 pieces of bitter flesh, crushed under the shouts of the people. Of each bone, of every injured woman, a burning knife emerges, cutting off bad arms, and over arms, thighs, and severed heads, a tidal wave of peace is growing. Good peace. Peace bought with black coins of pain, but peace, companions, peace, brothers and sisters, good, fresh, omniscient peace, like air, like a cloud of stars, thrown by an angel of fire. Que el aire no es de nadie, 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 y todos tienen su parcela de aire. Que nadie tenga tierra como se tiene traje. Que todos tengan tierra como se tiene aire. May the air not belong to anyone, to anyone, to anyone. And may everyone have their parcel of air. I wish that no one had land like they have a suit, and that everyone might have land like they have air. Thank you. And it's my honor to introduce Bonnie Somerville, who will read in Ukrainian.
Oh my. Can you hear me? I chose a poem in Ukrainian because I am half Ukrainian. And my grandparents came in 1916 from Ukraine, and so what's happening now has upset me a great deal, so I decided to read a poem. And this poem was written by Pattas Shenko. He was born in the Ukraine, you cannot say the Ukraine. He was born in Ukraine in 1814. He died in exile in St. Petersburg, Russia in 1861. And he wrote this poem in 1839. And to the Ukrainian people, he is a national hero. He is a poet, an artist, a folklorist, and a pro-Ukrainian political activist, hence the exile in Russia. And I'm reading a poem. My translation is by John Weir. He translated 25 of Pattas's poems, and he translated those in the latter half of the 19th century. I chose him because it was closer to when this poem was written in 1859. It is called Dumi Moyi, Dumi Moyi. So I have to get out the Russian part, or the Ukrainian part. He was also an artist, and this is a portrait of his sister. He had done a poem called Katarina, and this is his sister, Katarina. So I will read the Ukrainian. Dumi mої, квіти мої діти, вирощта вас, доклада вас, де ж мені вас діти. В Україну ідіть, діти, в нашу Україну, по підінню сиротами, а я тут загину. То найдете щире серце, i slovo laskava. To najdete щиро правду, і ще можі славу. Привітайте, моя ненько, моя Україно, моїх діток нерозумних, як свою дитину. And the translation is, and this is just a very small part of a very long poem. So I barely made it through this, so that's why I cut it down. But it's called, what it is in English is my thoughts. My thoughts, my melancholy thoughts, my children, tender shoots. I nursed you, brought you up, and now, what shall I do with you? Go to Ukraine, my homeless waves, your way made to Ukraine, along back roads like vagabonds, but I'm doomed here to stay. There you will find a heart that's true and words of welcome kind, their honesty, unvarnished truth, and maybe fame you'll find. So welcome them, my motherland, Ukraine, into your home. Accept my guileless, simple brood and take them for your own. Now, he did not have children, so he is not speaking to his children. He is speaking about his poems, his thoughts, his, and saying maybe fame you'll find is that his poetry did live on, and he's considered one of Ukraine's most beloved poets. And so I just want you to know that he did not have children, but these are his thoughts. And his poetry has lived on. And the reason I did this is I was watching the news, and in Ukraine, they were sandbagging one of his statues. So then I got the nerve to do this. But, okay. I'm so pleased to introduce a new friend, Mugu Ganesen, and he is going to speak in Urdu, and he is going to come to the Art Center a lot, aren't you?
Before I start, I've got an announcement to make. All the exit doors are closed until my reading is over. So I'm going to read a couple of poems of a famous Indian poet called Gulzar. He's my favorite. Here's the first one. It's called Sketch. याद है एक दिन मेरी मेज पे बैठे बैठे सिगरेट की डिबिया पर तुमने एक छोटे से पौधे का स्केच बनाया था. आकर देखो उस पौधे पर फूल आया है. Remember one day while sitting at my table you sketched on a cigarette box a tiny plant. Come and see, that plant has bloomed. The next one is called Bonfire. रात भर सर्द हवा चलती रही. रात भर हमने आलाओं थापा. मैंने माजी से कई खुश्क सी शाखें काटी. तुमने भी गुजरे हुए लम्हों के पत्ते तोड़े. मैंने जेबों से निकाली सभी सूखी नज़में. तुमने भी हाथों से मुरझाए हुए खत खोले. अपनी इन आंखों से मैंने कई मांझे तोड़े और हाथों से कई बासी लकीरें फेंकी. तुमने पलकों पे नमी सूख गई थी सो गिरा दी. रात भर जो भी मिला उगते बदन पर हमको खाट के डाल दिए जलते अलाव में उससे. रात भर फूकों से हर लौ को जगाए रखा और दो जिस्म की ईंधन को जलाए रखा. रात भर बुझते हुए रिश्तों को तापा हमने. The cold wind blew all night and we warmed ourselves by the open fire. I cut some drying branches of the past You too broke off the leaves of bygone moments. I cleaned out my pocket of all the lifeless poems. You too opened a bunch of faded missives. With my very eyes, I severed a few strings and threw out many stale lines from my palms. You brushed off the dried moistness from your eyes. Whatever we found growing all night on our bodies, we lopped off and consigned to the flames. All night, our breath kept alive each flame and the fuel inside our bodies. All night, we warmed ourselves on a dying relationship. The next one is called Step Away. तकिए पे तेरे सर का वो टिप्पा है पड़ा है, चादर में तेरे जिस्म की वो सौंधी सी खुशबू, हाथों में महकता है तेरे चेहरे का एहसास, माथे पे तेरे होठों की मोहर लगी है। तू इतनी करीब है कि तुझे देखूं तो कैसे, थोड़ी सी अलग हो तो तेरे चेहरे को देखूं। The slight dip of your head on the pillow is still there. The sheets hold the moist scent of your body. My hands are fragrant with the smell of your face. On my forehead is the stamp of your lips. You're so close that I cannot see you. Move away a little so I can see your face. And the last one. And the doors will be open after this. This one's called Poem. नज़्म उलझी हुई है सीने में, मिसरे अटके हुए हैं होठों पर, लफ्ज़ कागज़ पे बैठते ही नहीं, उड़ते फिरते हैं तितलियों की तरह। कब से बैठा हूँ मैं जानम, सादा कागज़ पे लिख के नाम तेरा, बस तेरा नाम ही मुकम्मल है, इससे बेहतर भी नज़्म क्या होगी। A poem is caught in my heart. Its lines stuck on my lips. Words refuse to sit on paper. They wing around like butterflies. Long have I waited, my beloved, to write your name on a sheet of white paper. Your name is enough, complete. What better poem can there be?
Isn't this a wonderful night? Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for all the wonderful poems. It's beautiful hearing the languages. It's like so much music. And I want to invite you to our kiosk in there where we are selling t-shirts and DVDs from a film project that we call Rondo. And Rondo is based on a Rondo neighborhood that was destroyed when they built 94. So our youth and elders from the Rondo community got together and they produced this film. And I have Kevin DeSale, who's also part of that film crew. And we are also working right now on Rondo, Rooted in Rondo, which is the next part of our film series on Rondo. So anyway, we have t-shirts about Rondo, we have the t-shirt Rondo, we have the video or the DVD, excuse me, we have a sample on that t-shirt, and we have the book, the 2019 book. So if you would like to come in and see what we have, we'd appreciate it. And thank you again for coming tonight, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you listening to all this wonderful poetry. I want to thank all of the readers. It's so courageous, and it was so beautiful to hear you share these poems. Readers, we have a thank you gift for you. There are bags on the back table, so please stop there and pick up your gift before you leave. And again, I feel so blessed to have been part of this event and to have gotten to meet some of you tonight. I hope you'll stay in touch with the Almanac and Weir. If you're new to either of those organizations, I hope you'll consider supporting both of them, coming to more events. And I'm going to
turn it over finally to just Sarah to say some final words.
Wow, I'd love to do this again sometime. So thank you everyone for attending this evening. This atrium is less than a year old and it welcomes you and wants to see you back. This is for you. And we're so excited to have evenings like this. So let's have more of them. And please, on your way out, grab a program, a catalog with all of our upcoming virtual and in-person classes. If you have any interest, wonderful opportunities. Next week alone, we have a couple of really exciting evenings. On Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we have an evening of spoken word. So right up your alley, I think it'll be a beautiful event. Thursday evening in the Ford Family Gallery, we welcome our opening reception for our high school visual arts contest. The talent here in the Northeast Metro region with our youth, it's amazing. So if this type of thing excites you, if you see the importance of programming in the arts, please, in our catalog we have information about our annual fundraiser, our Heart for Art. Please take a look and support us and welcome and come back. Thank you so much.